Hello everyone, this is HuskyStarcraft here, back with some more StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm 1v1 action. This time it is going to be from the very recent Red Bull Battlegrounds. We're going to be talking about that in just a little bit, but let's go ahead and introduce our two players right now. Spawning up in the top left side, it is going to be Startail Bomber. You can actually see their logo right there, as it is a custom map, so it does have their logo spawning. And up in the top right side, well, what do you know? It's Acer's Scarlett. So it is going to be a TvZ, and actually one of the most exciting TvZ matchups, I would say. Number one, they have amazing glowing circles around their geysers, so that's kind of cool. But I do want to talk about Red Bull Battlegrounds. I also want to talk about the map. It is called Habitation Station, which is kind of fun to say, and it's a pretty cool map. Of course, you got your natural down here. The ramp leading up to your natural is relatively small, plus, of course, you're going to have the high ground advantage. Where things start to spice up, as per usual, is going to be your third base. And, God, this foliage and stuff looks awesome. We got even circle vines around these geysers, so apparently this map's all about the gas geysers. Going to actually have a high-yield base up here, something we have not seen in many, many moons. Have not seen a high-yield expansion in a long, long time. Kind of easy to secure, very difficult to defend versus drops and things like that. Looks like Bomber's actually going to be going for the double proxy right now as we start to explain this map. There is going to be one watchtower right here that does connect the two bases. Keep in mind that this is a two-player map. Down the bottom sides, you can see just more and more bases for the taking. And also Red Bull Battlegrounds logo right there. I guess that's going to be a great segue into what I wanted to talk about next, which is, of course, going to be Red Bull Battlegrounds. And I love Red Bull Battlegrounds. What they do is they invite 8 players. Some of the best in the world, some of the up-and-comers, and some of the most entertaining. They throw them in a gauntlet. Lots of money is on the line, and it just takes place over the course of a couple of days. So Red Bull definitely getting into esports very heavily. One of the biggest tournaments out there as far as prize pool, I would say. So always much love for Red Bull. If you don't drink Red Bull, then you should, because they do have lots of love for esports. But right now, it does look like Bomber going to be quite aggressive with these SCVs. Does end up losing one of those SCVs right away. So Scarlett's got to know that something is amiss. Is actually going to be sending out the 6 Lings all the way across now. I think this plan for Bomber is quickly getting out of control. This is not exactly what he had intended, as now he can no longer be aggressive. Instead, he has to be on the defensive end, just because Scarlett has already made it all the way across the map. Now, these Lings are probably not going to be doing too much direct damage right now. You know, maybe get in the mineral line, maybe delay this supply depot or something like that. But for now, Scarlett's like, oh, well, there's actually nothing up here, and I don't see a command center, so I'm going to go ahead and go for it. The workers, Marines do show up to go ahead and start pushing this back, which is actually exactly what you're going to be seeing right now. SCV's pulled off the line here. Now, as long as these Zerglings are delaying mining, that is a lot more important than just about anything else. The SCVs are trying to get back to work. There they go, finally finding that mineral patch. The barracks are on their way back, and there are enough Marines here to kill off these Lings, especially now if the Lings are in the red and orange. Zergling speed did finish. That is quite annoying. More Lings are on the way, trying to actually bust down the supply depot. Not going to get it, though. Like I was saying, there are more than enough Marines here to hold this off, and Scarlett trying to pick away as much as she possibly can, because guess what? She does have a Baneling Nest on the way, so if she's able to do enough damage, could begin working down that entrance. I will say, though, that Bomber already has a preemptive command center here. He knew that his attack was not going to work almost from the beginning. I mean, he caught on to it pretty darn quickly, and that meant that he just has to wall himself in, get a couple of Marines back at home, and he should be absolutely fine. Scarlett, though, that means she's going to be relatively fine as far as expanding goes. Her expansion is delayed, though, already having a lair on the way. We'll see exactly what this lair tech is going to be for. I guess she did go ahead and cancel that Baneling Nest, unless I'm tripping. Unless I'm super tripping right now. But does have the lair tech already. Now, what does this start to unlock? I mean, you can start working towards Nidus Swarms. You can, of course, go for Mutalisks. Wouldn't recommend it, though, considering that there are not full drones on gas here. Could go for just lots of different stuff off of this. I mean, could go for Roaches with some decent upgrades. Could go for Banelings with speed. Really lots of things that you can start to get here once you have that lair tech. And you can also get some more of the Overlord upgrades. I am curious to see, or you could go for Swarm Host. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I wonder if an early Swarm Host rush would work versus Terran. That seems like it would, just because the Locusts do so much damage. But we'll just have to wait and see exactly what the tech choice is going to be. Scarlett, definitely one of my favorite Zerg players, but Bomber just refusing to ever have a bad year, I feel like. Lately, he's just been dominating, doing tons and tons of awesome plays, and it is going to be a Spire here, as Scarlett aspiring to go for air superiority. You guys see what I did there? Unfortunately, you probably did. Unfortunately, you probably did. But the bunker going to be on the way on the low ground. Nice positioning here with the Marines. That's just going to kind of force Bomber's expansion to be safely secured, as that bunker, it cannot be delayed. Those Lings are not going to be able to delay it. Even if they were able to, the Marines are more than enough to go ahead and kill it off. Should probably load up inside that bunker. However, 4 Marines, even right here, should be absolutely fine. And Scarlett, does this early of Mutalisk actually work versus a player like Bomber? I mean, we're about to find out. Keep in mind, he has not scouted at all, has not scanned, has not even seen a building. And for all he knows, there's actually no Zerg buildings on the map because he hasn't actually seen any right now. Does have a 3rd command center on the way, and this is something that Bomber loves to do, which is going to be that 3-base War Machine play, which I'm always going to call it War Machine, where you have 3 bases as Terran, and it's non-stop aggression from then on out. That is exactly what Bomber's going to try and go for. Maybe he can secure a high-yield expansion off the back of that. Maybe Scarlett is wise enough to know that he's going to do that, which is why the early Mutalisk might actually work out. Keep in mind that Scarlett will have enough Vespene gas for 6 Mutas perfectly there, or for 5 Mutas and +1 attack. Right now at 4 Mutas there. She's not supply blocked. Not sure exactly what she's waiting on. Maybe the minerals there, as she does have 6 now on the way. That's going to give her a little bit of time. And I think that with these Mutas, she can hold off these Hellions just fine. She can begin harassing a potential 3rd base. Like, where does this 3rd base go as Bomber? For now, the answer is nowhere, as he is working on just getting SCVs out of that command center, which is always nice as Terran, having that macro command center, because not only do you get SCVs, you also get the Wondrous Mules. Of course, ideally, you would be taking a 3rd base as well to get the full benefit of that. But right now, it does look like the Mutalisk going to go ahead and head on out. Now, this is an interesting position because these Mutalisks are much earlier than Bomber is going to be prepared for. But at the same time, they're so early that there's so few of them. So if you have the Marines in the correct spot, you're going to be just fine. I mean, 13 Marines is more than enough to kill off 6 Mutalisks right now. And at this point, all Scarlett wants to do is as much economic damage as possible. There's no way she can take on this army directly, as that would be very unfortuitous. That's why she's starting to attack at angles that are lessly defended by the Marines. But the Marines now are grouped up right here, and the Mutalisks have kind of done their damage. I mean, they forced the SCVs away. They were able to kill off a couple. Might actually be able to get a medevac here as well if she's super lucky. Medevac, though, is able to escape, just kind of boosting away. Another medevac will be spawning right now. Has to be careful with these Mutas, though. One does go down. Are there going to be more to follow this up? A second one goes down, it looks like. Overall resources lost are about tied here. The Muta's getting a little bit over-eager as far as the assault damage. The Ling's trying to join in the fun as well. But overall, I would say that Bomber held on relatively well there, because you got to remember that this 3rd base for Scarlett is just now beginning to mine. You can see the very first resources there being taken back to that hatchery. So it's kind of a weird thing, because Scarlett delayed on the expansion, but also it's a high yield expansion. So that income is going to greatly benefit from the few drones that she actually has, because she went for the early Mutalisk, which means less workers, etc. So it's kind of a weird spot for Scarlett to be in, but also not the worst spot for Scarlett to be in right now. The fact that she's actually able to secure a high yield expansion is quite impressive. And what's more impressive is she's able to continue to use these Mutas right here. Can't she delay the combat shields? That would be huge. Not today, or at least not yet. We'll see if an SCV gets pulled over here, or if these Marines are just going to kind of wait it out, as needs that combat shield upgrade ASAP. Just makes those Marines so much better at resisting those bounce attacks. People are there trying to get the medevac once again. Not going to happen. Bomber going to be able to hang on for now, trying to go for a supply depot. Not going to happen, as it is defended there by the missile turret. So both these players are starting to kind of jockey for position, but it's really Bomber who needs to make a move relatively soon. Needs to figure out where is that 3rd base going to go. Do I attack right now? Do I do an all-in? Exactly what happens next, because if you let Scarlett just kind of continue to expand, that's where Zerg has the biggest advantage. A high-yield expansion. Now fully, I would assume fully saturated. Yes, it is, with a 4th base on the way. So Bomber has to at least get a 3rd base. Ideally, it's going to be the high yield, but I don't know if that's a reasonable expectation. Oh my goodness, this Ultralisk right here, man, totally got a stake through the chest. Pretty intense. But right now it actually looks like Bomber. This is exactly why this location is difficult to defend, as units on the low ground can easily defend the units on the high ground. And the Hellbats, or excuse me, Hellions right there, just doing tons of damage. They do eventually get taken out. Overall resources lost, though, begins to favor Bomber here, just because he's being cost effective in cleaning up this expansion. Banelings rolling in, but you know, that's 1 or 2 Banelings for 3 Marines. That doesn't really help your cause here for Scarlett. Needs to be a little bit more cost effective if possible, but Bomber, on the other hand, needs to begin getting additional reinforcements over here. These 2 medevacs are super low. There's not enough to really unload and load up onto the high ground. Has got to be careful. That 1 Marine is riding in a medevac of death. He is going to go ahead and try and unload on the high ground. Can Scarlett actually hold on, though? Looks like the answer is yes, but again, sacrificing Banelings to do so, and does kill off a medevac as well. But again, like I'm saying, Bomber being super cost effective for now, needs to load up and get out of there, and he does. Can this medevac boost away? Needs to boost away. Oh, God, that was so close. That was a full medevac as well. Those Marines nearly meeting an early demise. But for now, it does look at the Changeling Man moving on out, and he's got fancy clothes on. He looks kind of weird over there. Looks like he's covered in creep. Not sure what's going on with that, but Bomber once again has to split his units preemptively, which is exactly what he's going to try and do right now. It all comes down to these splits. Bailey trying to land. They do get a couple of connections, but are they as good as they need to be? I want to say no, not at all. And the War Machine, like I was saying, guys, starts to kick in. 3-base Terran at around the 12 to 15 minute mark is very, very terrifying. Bomber did get his 3rd base up a little bit later, so that may be one benefit Scarlett has. And Scarlett is going to have more money than usual given this type of situation, as she does have, of course, that high yield, but also now that 4th base. And I think Bomber realizes that he's going to be going up against stronger forces than he's used to dealing with in these situations. So we'll see if Scarlett can hold on for now. Almost getting yet another medevac. Widowmine on the low ground trying to clean up those units as well. Bomber's got to be careful because Scarlett is swinging around. She's out for blood. She's going to go for it. Bomber has nowhere to run. The Widowmine's here, not able to do that much more. Medevac saying, smell you later. As they try and get out of there, they stop moving for just a second. Was that the victory that Scarlett needed? Still not completely even in the resources lost, but is able to start swinging this game back into her favor. I mean, income overall is looking great for both players. Bomber, though, I assume that's a lot of mules involved. Yes, there are 4 here with 2 more on the way. So really, Scarlett doing a good job going toe-to-toe. Might need to make some more drones here pretty soon. I'm not sure if she can continue to afford the amount of aggression she's been showing this game with trying to kill off the army before it gets too close to lock down that base. As long as she's able to protect her 4 bases, it should be okay. A big Widowmine hit there, though. Baneling's trying to return the favor. Not going to happen. Some of the units do go down, but Bomber is everywhere, man. I mean, the micro, both these players, 244 and 242 APM respectively. Not too shabby at all, to say the absolute least. Main base here nearly mined out for Bomber, so that's that War Machine, I know it's a terrible name, but is going to be slowing down just a little bit, running out of natural resources in the main base and getting really close to being completely mined out there. We'll have to go for a 4th base relatively soon if he wants to keep up this aggression. He should have enough money off these bases to get maxed out. Just has to watch out for those Baneling hits. Once again, going to be splitting up this army, preemptively preparing for the Zergling swing through. And so far, Scarlett does clean off the high ground. Can she continue to save this base, though? I'm surprised no siege tanks are actually in the mix. I think a tank or 2 would make this much more terrifying for Scarlett, but for now it's just dealing with those drops, and Bomber doing a pretty good job keep up the pressure. At the same time, though, there's an attack down here. Baneling's rolling in. There's no planetary down there, as that is only the 3rd base. Overall workers killed 27 to 12, which is exactly what Scarlett needed to do. Now 62 to 41 SCVs, and that means that Scarlett is going to be okay on the macro front. The Baneling's going to be rolling in. The angle's pretty good. Bomber trying to get out there. Marines are pretty fast. The split's even faster. Bomber is able to clean those up. It just seems like Banelings are really not that effective of a unit anymore in this matchup, just because actually getting those huge detonations is nearly impossible. I would say we almost never see it in TvZ these days, at least at the high level of play. I still get absolutely destroyed by Banelings in the low level of play, but then again, I'm not Bomber, so it does look like Bomber right now does. Remember, every time he holds his position, he does have the watchtower. I think that's something very important to note, so he knows when the army is swinging around, he knows when the army is going for a counterattack, and he kind of knows even if there's still drones mining over here, which is going to be very valuable information. Trying to go for the creep tumors here as well. Scarlett sacrificing a couple links to prevent that from happening, but it's only got delayed for so long as the creep tumors do get pushed back here. Quite a great deal. We'll see if Bomber can actually continue this pressure or not. I mean, this is a situation that we've seen Zerg players in time and time again, forced back into a corner to try and defend, which is exactly what Scarlett's got to do. Bomber not really seemingly paying attention there, ending up losing a lot of his units there and a lot of the ground that he worked so hard to cover. Loses a medevac as well as a couple of Marines, and the changes moving in. They get mowed down instantly, but they're still able to see exactly what the upgrades are, exactly what's going on there. 3 attack, 2 armor, almost about to be 3-3. The Mutalists do actually have 1 armor, which is quite surprising. You almost never see that for Zerg, able to get those armor upgrades for air. And if Scarlett can continue forward like this, she might be able to hang on, but I feel like she's slowly getting picked apart. Baneling's trying to roll in as well. Might get some good detonations as Bomber tries to split up as best he possibly can. He is losing a lot of his medevacs. That is one thing that Scarlett is doing well, is keeping that medevac count low, also keeping the Marine count high, which means that if she can get Fungals or Banelings or something like that to connect, like we're watching right now, then those Marines will melt away. Baneling's going as far as they possibly can, hacking it down to 38 Marines. That was at, what was it, 70 just moments ago, I believe so, as the Marines got to be pushing forward here. Marauder absorbing so much of the damage. You can see he's just a beefcake there with that 3 armor. The Lings right now, I don't know if they have enough. Bomber looks like he finally has the momentum shift heavily into his favor, but at the same time, he doesn't have that much supply. He has lost a lot in these engagements. Sure, he's got to kill the high yield expansion, but that base is nearly dried up anyway. Oh, macadamia nuts, man, coming back to haunt me. As it does look like this hatchery is going to get taken out, and there wasn't a whole lot of money left in this location anyway. But either way, does get a base right there. Scarlett needs to be careful. It's going to be less larva that she has access to. Widowmine detonating there on a stray Mutalisk, it looked like. But Scarlett might actually be able to clean up all of this. If she can, she might not be in that bad a shape. We'll see if the Baneling hits are pretty good. Army supply is actually tied right here. Banelings, though, unable to fully commit right now. Where are the reinforcing Zerglings? I don't know. It looks like this is enough Mutalisk just to take on this army directly. Not something you see very often, but shows you the benefit of that +1 armor. As this game actually completely out of control. If we take a look at the army supply once again, 44 to 33 here. This game is definitely heating up. Thought for sure that Scarlett was out of it, but she is not going down without a fight, trying to get the counterattack rolling, and this base is completely undefended. More SCVs freshly arriving over here, which that is just lambs to the slaughter if this group of Lings actually gets up there. Keep in mind that the Lings are at 2-2. SCVs trying to transfer out of there as if preemptively realizing that they were in danger. However, they were actually transferring to this new fourth base up here, which Bomber is looking to establish. If this base gets established, that is going to be bad news, which was a sheep joke because we're talking about lambs. But regardless, it does look like got to be long distance mining for now, but not as long as it would have been. He's just waiting for that creep to get cleaned up. Unfortunately, Terran do not have creep Zambonis. As awesome as that would be, the creep is going to be still an issue. Which is definitely something that that Bomber needs to deal with. Might have to lift this off, although does have enough SCVs to basically have this fully saturated right now. So I guess that doesn't really matter as much as, there we go, he does need to go ahead and land that though. Income right now is starting to favor Bomber, especially with those mules. We'll go ahead and land that command center there, and the SCVs need to make sure that they do not run into, well, the slaughter once again. The Mutalisks are kind of waiting out there. It's like that scene from The Lion King, man, where the hyenas are just waiting to have delicious, delicious lion snacks. And I guess SCVs are lions in this example? I don't know. That was probably not the greatest example. Either way, the Mutalisk hyenas, man, looking for free pickups here, and they are doing just that, eating up a lot of these Marines, and the Mutalisks are actually starting to be quite terrifying. I mean, a lot of times you'll see Mutos start to kind of get phased out as the game goes on, maybe opting to go for Ultralisks or more Infestors or even Swarm Hosts, but for now, Scarlett doing a good job of keeping these Mutalisks relevant and keeping it to upgrade them. We have the +2 armor on the way. Bomber a little bit out of position, not actually sure what he's doing here. I think he's decided that it's now or never, sacrificing that base completely. He wants to try and put on that pressure, may be able to scan these creep tumors. I'm actually not sure where Bomber's going. This seems a little bit uncharacteristic of him to get pulled this far out of position just for a building base, but we'll see if he can get the army far enough back that he can continue to mine at this high yield expansion. So far the answer is yes. He can't really afford to lose his army though. I feel like Scarlett's going to have a huge advantage coming into this battle. Not only a supply advantage, but an army advantage as well, as this is not all of Bomber's army here. It is a lot of it, but not all of it. Banelings rolling in. He needs to split a little bit better. The Banelings actually being quite effective there. The remainder of the Marines getting taken out. There are still 40 Marines somewhere on this map, believe it or not, and it looks like they're going to be reinforcing right here. The medevac's trying to heal them back up as quickly as they possibly can because the action has been non-stop this game, and Scarlett able to just go toe-to-toe in all these engagements. Is going to intercept the medevacs as well. These are the ones that just retreated, so they didn't have their booster to get out of there, and the hatchery's got to go down, but really this hatchery is not all that important, as we still have one mining base for Scarlett and barely two for Bomber. So Scarlett, if she's able to clean up these Marines, got to be in great shape. Why are these Mutalisks just not dying, doing so much damage? The supply now 97 to 74. Scarlett still having barely enough income to begin supplementing this army with fresh reinforcements. I guess that base was pretty darn important, as she's only going to be able to mine off of this one and cannot secure another base anytime soon, or at least it's going to be tough. The hatchery down here got to go down as well. That is a huge pickup for Bomber. Can he keep these Marines alive, though? Scarlett needs to not give up hope, as she is alive and well in this game, being currently ahead in supply, just not doing the greatest as far as income is concerned. Bomber is able to secure the high yield expansion right now. Income overall is about the same for both these players. One last Baneling to rule them all. Does get a nice detonation there. These Marines are relatively low as well. The Mutalisks wait for them to engage the hatchery, and that ended up working out quite well, as the Mutalisks are just still alive. 7 kills on that Mutalisk. There's just so many Mutalisks with tons of kills. 15 kills on another Mutalisk. When do you ever see 15 kills on one Muta? Very, very rarely. As Scarlett somehow making these mutas work, even using drones as a buffer right now to try and clean it up. I normally say that that's bad news, but Scarlett is still in this. The drones actually a little bit scary right now. They do have that +2 armor. Keep in mind they do not benefit from the plus attack upgrades that are already done. But either way, it does keep the drones alive just for a moment or two longer. A couple Marines screaming over here. Bomber not giving up any hope at all and not giving up any of the pressure. I mean, take a look at the map. Reinforcements still streaming all the way across as the Marines trying to survive. Long of one last Marine to try and rule them all. But nope, he's not as good as the Baneling, as wasn't able to do that much damage right now. Bomber probably should retreat right now. I'm trying to see exactly what the best option is. He does have the high yield expansion, still mining off of this last base. There's a few resources left up here as well, but he decides that it's continued aggression time, which I don't know if he has nearly enough. Crazy splits on those Marines, individually splitting every single Marine there, not using the buddy system, that is for sure. For now, he's going to try and retreat, kill off maybe one Queen here. Anything he can get right now is a big pickup, and he does actually manage to do just that. Getting the Queen is going to delay those creep tumors and kills them off there as well. So not too bad of a play there by Bomber. The counterattack once again over here, and there are a few SCVs. It may not look that bad, but he needs to keep these SCVs alive as best he possibly can because he cannot afford to continue to replace them. Most of them do survive, but it does delay the mining once again. So a completely back and forth game here. Scarlett overall has lost 9,000 additional resources over what Bomber has lost. That is looking to change as Mutalisks do swoop in right now to do tons of damage to SCVs. And they do force those away, so that's two bases now that were mining that are currently not, all because of the counterattacks right here. The Mutalisks are still alive. This is the guy with 15 kills now. And he's at full HP as well. It does look like Bomber right now trying to lock down the only mining base for Scarlett, though. If she loses too many drones here, that is it for her economy. Banelings rolling in, Zerglings as well, but when the Banelings connect, they're only hitting one or two Marines. It may be just barely enough. The hatchery getting dangerously low. Can Scarlett save it? No, she can't. The hatchery goes down. That's the only mining base for her, and does not have enough money to actually reproduce one, so she needs to win with what she's got on the field right now. And can she actually do it? Mining from Bomber is almost non-existent. Finally gets those units back over to that high yield expansion. 19 kills now on the hero Mutalisk. An absolutely brutal game. I'm honestly not sure who's going to win because there's very few workers for either player. Worker supply 25 to 13. Army supply is actually tied, which tends to favor Terran in this situation, as long as he can be cost-effective with it. However, the command center may go down. That's going to be a lot less mules and, of course, less scans to keep track of where the army is at. Bomber's got to try and win with what little units he has left, but he is also the only one producing anything. We have 6 Zerglings on the way. That's going to be it for Scarlett. Can those 6 Zerglings buy enough time? The drones are long-distance mining, but in no way is that ideal, as Bomber's long-distance mining a little bit earlier was way, way, way better. At this point, though, I feel like this game's slipping away from Scarlett. She needs to find a good engagement because she's not going to be able to expand anytime soon. I don't think she has a hatchery on the way. No, she doesn't. One Marine over here is going to go ahead and try and take out as many drones as he possibly can. Where's our hero Mutalisk in here? He's somewhere. Not sure if I'm going to be able to click on him or not, but tons of kills on these units. They're actually just going to be rolling in here at this base. The high yield expansion may go down. Those 6 slings definitely. Oh, 21 kills on that Mutalisk, which is actually kind of absurd. There he is right there. He is a metamorph Mutalisk, a meta-Utalisk, a meta-Mutalisk is what we'll be calling him right now with 21 kills. I don't think I've ever seen a Mutalisk with 21 kills, trying to continue that trend. Now 22 kills on that Mutalisk, as this base over here is continually under siege. It looks like the one Marine over here did get taken out by those last few Zerglings. This is all that Scarlett has, is trying to do as much damage as she possibly can with these last few units. And it's crazy because this isn't even a base race game. It is just a pure brawl to the death, as Scarlett just doing as many punches to the face as she possibly can. May want to go for production here because going for supply depots is going to be a waste of time. Does get the reactors, trying to go for the missile turrets. I mean, there's just not enough stuff over here for Bomber to be able to defend this. Going for reactors is nice. Going for the actual barracks themselves is probably better. It's going to take a while for these Mutalisks to really start to cut into what Bomber is currently doing, which is very, very, very little production. So yeah, killing the reactors is great, but it's going to take more than that to actually cut into the production rate of Bomber, as both these players super, super low on supply. And Scarlett just continuing to make Zerglings. We actually have Burrow on the way with the last few resources. I mean, take a look at the income right now for both these players. Basically non-existent. Mutalisk here trying to make this happen. Still 22 kills on this Mutalisk. Does end up losing another one of the other Mutalisks, but for now, at least our metamorphed Mutalisk is ready to go. Long distance mining still taking place. I wonder if Scarlett should try and save for a base or use what little resources she has left on her last big push. I don't even know if you can call it a big push at this point. It's just last-ditch effort to actually be able to secure this game, and it's kind of weird because we do see constant reinforcements for Bomber, but he's only got 3 workers, so even though he's got mules, his income is still not looking that great whatsoever. He is losing the majority of his workers now. And what does Bomber do from here? I mean, it's honestly just Marine versus Mutalisk. I've never seen such a low econ game at this stage. I mean, we're 36 minutes into a game. Both players are mining either nothing or less than 300. Whoa! There it is! There it is. There's the baitling landmine that Scarlett's been waiting for, trying to bait him into there the entire time. Bomber had no way of knowing that that was going to be a threat. Now, all of a sudden, he is in panic mode here as the Commander's got to get taken out. He needs those. That's his only source of income here. And if we take a look at the structures tab, there's only one last orbital remaining, and that's the one you see right here. If he loses that, he cannot actually mine any more resources no matter how hard he tries. The Mutalisk right now have forced the liftoff of the entire base. I think that Bomber's just going to go for it. He's going to go with what he's got. The burrow actually paying off. Big risk, big reward. Does intercept these drones that are mining, so the last few resources that Scarlett has will be spent on the last few baitling she can afford, and we'll see if she can actually land them right here. That's going to be one of the last scans that Bomber has, though. Sure, he can clean up the creep, but that doesn't even matter. Mutalisk right here going for buildings. It doesn't matter, though. They've got to go for these Marines, and one of the craziest TvZs I think I've ever seen, but Scarlett might actually have it. I think she does. Her army supply. Oh, she did it again! She did it again! The last second baitling detonations there. That strategy absolutely bombed all over Bomber. Look, guys, look, I've never declared that I'm good at puns, okay? Actually, I probably said that at one point, but it's not true. That is an absolute lie. But either way, Scarlett, using the clutchiest of all clutch baitling landmines, able to take out Bomber. I mean, that's one supply to 63. Bomber thought he had a chance all the way up until he had one supply. Oh dear, what an awesome game here for Scarlett. This is why she is one of my favorite Zerg players. Bomber, though, always the resilient champion that he is going to be still showing us lots of good games. Let's be completely honest. He's been good all year. Either way, we are getting close to the end of the year, so I hope you guys enjoyed. And here's to an amazing 2014. 2013 has been a great year of StarCraft. So many good tournaments. The WCS starting to shape up. We're having a lot of the old leagues come back as well, and Kespa starting to get their fingers in StarCraft a little bit more. So a good year for esports, a good year for StarCraft. But let's continue on forward. This game was awesome. I'm just all giddy after that game. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you guys next time.